Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to another episode of Cliff Notes Live. I think it's episode 146. Man, we're getting up there in numbers, just like me and my age as well. I hope y'all are doing fantastic. A good Monday evening to y'all. Big Brother, been exciting. We're going to talk about it all hour long. I fully expect. Now, if you want to talk about something else, throw it at me. We can do that. But yeah. We're going to talk about Big Brother a lot. All right, first of all, before going further, a big old SKD 143. I love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV. I love Big Brother, and I love the Big Brother fans, of which I know a lot of y'all are huge fans, as am I. Love you guys coming out here every Monday night, hanging with me. It means a lot to me, so thank you so much. Now, with that in mind, for those of you who haven't already done so, please consider going out there, subscribing to my YouTube channel, turning on notifications, and you could even give one of those thumbs up that they've got on there as well. I certainly would appreciate that. But if you do that, it means whenever I do this Monday night show, but also my morning recaps, you're going to get alerted as soon as I drop them. I try to do them early in the morning, but there's some nights, like last night, these house guests were up till 3:30, 4 o'clock or so Big Brother time, which is like 5 o'clock in the morning, Houston time. It makes it a little tough. So sometimes when I drop the episodes, run a little later, sooner, whatever. So turn on your notifications and you'll always know when they come out. All right, with that being said, first of all, before going further, let me give a huge shout out to Karen Hummer. Thank you so much, Karen. And also Mask Spoofer or Spoof. Is it Spoofer or Spoof? We talked about it last week. Thanks to both of y'all for the super stickers. I appreciate it. Y'all, so much. Thank you. Y'all know I do these shows as just an absolute labor of love, right? I don't have any kind of patron account or anything like that. I'm just out here having fun. I love talking reality TV and Big Brother with you guys. So thank you. I appreciate the support. It means a lot. Yeah, it just feels like a family kind of thing here. So thank you for that. So Karen, Spoof, thank y'all both. I absolutely appreciate it. And with that, let me see who else is out here as well, because I see all kinds of names. Some names I recognize. Some are brand new. I know some of y'all are going to be watching on the replay as well. I always run the replay, record it so that people can watch y'all's comments during the show, because that's really probably more important than what I'm saying as well. Is y'all getting interact and everything as well. So I always do that. All right, real quick, and it is going to be fast. Amanda Lowe, howdy, Amanda, Marilyn Sutherland, Jake the Horror Movie Geek, Mike Johnson, Cindy Heyer, Marilyn Sutherland, Jamie Corrales, Heather Marshall, first Cliff Notes Live. Thank you, Heather. Kiki, Karen Hummer, I mentioned your name. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate it. Terry Thomas, Keith Franken. How are you doing, Keith? Janet Johnson. I appreciate all the support always, Janet. Let's see. Connie Garbarino. I hope I got that right. Thank you so much. Tina Warner, Paula Scar, Kiki, Julia Shepard, Kim Sinclair, Lee Strack, Ma. Hey, Ma, how are you? Maddie Denchi, and let's see, Tommy Flanagan, Mike Johnson. Let's see, Doctor Who Heather. I love the name. The Texas Potterhead. Howdy, neighbor. Lori Lyon, Barbara Schultz, Wyatt Garrett, Anna No, and we may have to shut down. Rita Case, Barbarella Haymaker. Barbarella, I saw a show with Barbarella one time. Jane Fonda. Let's see. And all right, we're going to shut down that. Braxton Elliott, Angela G. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it so much. I truly do. And Under the Dome. There used to be a TV show called Under the Dome. Joe Blow. And I will shut it down right there. All of y'all, Roman Colombo. I just had to throw one more out of there. Guys, thank y'all all so much. I appreciate it. What do you think about Big Brother? Y'all excited? We had the wall competition. I had to celebrate it a little bit. I did it on my Instagram reminder. I'm doing it here as my background as well. I felt so honored to get to compete in my season of the wall competition. There were only 6 of us when we competed. So 7 people in the house. So it was final 7 when we did it. So there's the majority of people in my season did not get to do the wall comp. I did. Did I win? No. Look at me. I didn't think I was necessarily going to win, but I was going to give it everything I had. And I'm pretty proud that I didn't fall first. I'm pretty proud that that Christy only lasted 5 seconds longer than I did. I'm pretty proud that I lasted 33 minutes, which, if you compared it to these house guests from this season, I would have fallen, I think, just a little bit after Jag and maybe just a little bit before Matt. If I tried to compare times, I think that's the way it worked out. So yeah, I gave it everything. That is such a hard competition. I tore up my shoulder just doing that comp. Between that and BB Comics a couple of weeks later, I went about 6 months after Big Brother with a sore shoulder. I could barely lift it over my head. So there was certainly a little bit of recovery time, but it was well worth it just to say that I got to do the wall comp. You watch this on TV and you don't really understand how much, because I look at it and yeah, you think, the wall's doing something like this. No, when you're up on there, you feel like the wall's doing about like this. You're in a Superman pose trying to hold on to that thing. It's tough. But the feeling, just a little inside information, the way it works when you have, because we don't know what these comps are until we're actually in the live episode. When the producers cut to commercial before the competition, we quickly go outside. We walk out in the backyard, turn the corner. We see the wall. Not only do we see the wall, but we see ladders below every, at least in my season, below every little platform, there was a ladder and a couple of people standing there. And so they said, come on, come on, come on. So you walk up real quick, you go up the ladder, you get positioned, then they pull a ladder away and they quickly read the rules to us while we're still in commercial. So by the time you get back and Julie Chin, hello, house guest, are you ready for the comp? We're all up there ready to go. The heartbeat's beating and adrenaline's pumping. What a cool feeling. And knowing that it was on live, I assumed it was on live so all the live feeders could watch it so I could do shout outs to my family and everything else. You can tell I really enjoyed it, right? So when I get to watch other house guests do it in other seasons, it's always so exciting also. All right, I'm going to answer a few questions because otherwise I'll just go on and on. All right, Terry Thomas. Why does everyone dislike Cameron so much? I want him to go, but wouldn't mind him staying for the shakeup. Well, first of all, I'm glad he did what he did last week. The house needed to have a little shakeup. It's not that I like particularly one person or dislike other people. Yeah, we all have our opinions, but I try to stay positive. But I like to have the house shaken up. I don't want anyone to ever feel too comfortable. And Cameron certainly shook the house up a little bit when he went after Izzy and Felicia, right? Now, why do people not like Cameron? Cameron is just a unique individual. Part of it, there's some people that consider him a little creepy at the first of the season, the way he acted around Riley and things like that. Izzy from like day 1 or 2 said she thought he had serial killer eyes. He could be very focused. I mean, just kind of staring 1,000-mile stare sometimes. And people and sometimes when he'd ask people questions, he doesn't mind silence, which most people will feel very awkward about silence. And so they try to fill in the gaps, which is someone who's actually asking questions is an interrogator. It's a great technique. He ought to be a police detective because he would just stay silent and people would start giving him information. But it also makes it for a little bit of an awkward conversation sometimes with that guy. And I think that's, y'all fill me in. I mean, there's other things maybe people have pointed out, but for the most part, people just thought he was a little bit creepy, maybe around Cameron a little, or Riley a little bit, maybe around America a little bit. She complained some about it, but again, I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm not ever gonna judge any person based strictly on what happens inside the house. That goes for all 17 house guests in there, which sometimes is hard to do. Little difficult sometimes, but yeah, I think that's the reason that there's some people dislike him. But I'm glad he's in there. Let me say this real quick for those of you who are new to the show. There will be spoilers, so if you don't know what's happened with the veto ceremony and all that, be warned. But yeah, I think when Cameron goes home, and yes, I do believe he's going home on Thursday, it's not going to be the same. Now, maybe it gets better when you don't have one big focus on the house target. Then suddenly people can turn against each other much more. So maybe it gets even more chaotic and dramatic now that you've got people taking pot shots at each other. It is kind of boring when you just have one person the whole house wants out. So I don't know, but I'm looking forward. I'm going to reach out to Cameron. I'm going to reach out to Izzy. I'm going to reach out to all the pre-jurors and just welcome them to the Big Brother family. And some will want to talk and some won't. And that's okay too. But I'm looking forward to it. All right. Janet Johnson saying, are the cameras in the house movement activated or manned by people? There's some, I think, static cameras that are just always pointing in one direction, but most of the cameras are on remote control mounts. and they're controlled by people, but it's not like there's a cameraman behind that thing turning it. It's remote control. So there's someone in some control room that we never see. That's, I guess, has a little joystick or something, pointing that joystick one way or the other, following you around. Sometimes when you watch live feeds, they'll zoom in on something or other. They'll zoom in on a piece of food or a duck or whatever. That's the cameraman sometimes having fun. I'm sure they're getting some orders from the producers and things like that as well. But now we never in the house, we never see cameramen at all. So some cameras, you see the cameras up high pointing down at you. And it's a really creepy feeling when you get up at 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning to go around the corner to go to the bathroom. All the lights are off. And as you're walking around the corner, you hear all these cameras going as they follow you. Then you walk into the frame of another camera, it's following you around. So you're being watched by hundreds of thousands of people at home as you make your trek to the bathroom. It takes some getting used to, but we've got those cameras, and then you have the cameras behind the one-way mirrors. It looks like a mirror to us, but from the other side they can film everything. And those, I haven't seen it. I'd love to go behind the scenes, but I think it's built on a track. So you've got regular cameras like you see in movies and stuff that just move back and forth on this track and can film whatever you're doing. So. So in summer, you never see cameramen in there, but some of them are remote controlled by people. All right, let's see. What else do we have on here? Janet saying, do you run out of hot water in the Big Brother house? All right, that's a good question. Theoretically, you can. And in fact, yes, you do. I know they warned us. They said, look, there's only so much water. We got a hot water heater just like a house or anything else. And if you run out, you're just going to have to wait till it heats back up again. I don't remember that ever really being an issue for the showers. Maybe it's because I usually woke up in the morning and showered before most other people. I don't remember ever having the hot water run out there, but where the hot water ran out all the time during my season was while we were washing dishes. We would finish dinner, especially in the beginning when we had 16 people eating so much dishes and forks and cups and all that. And so I would tend to fill up the sink because I like to wash the dishes. That was kind of my thing. I'd fill up the sink with hot water and let it all soak and try to wash as much as I could, because you couldn't run hot water the whole time because it would so quickly run out. But there were a lot of times, even then, I didn't have enough hot water by the time it came time to wash dishes. So I'd just have to leave it in the sink for an hour to come back a little bit later and wash it when I had the hot water available. We do not have a dishwasher. At least we didn't during my season in the house. So we had to wash everything by hand, which fortunately, I grew up without a dishwasher, so I know how to do hand dishwashing, not an issue. And so that was my task while I was in the house. I was the official dishwasher. All right, Cindy Hire saying it was a bold move voting out Izzy. Yeah, wasn't that exciting? Especially because it was a flip. Yeah, it really seemed like Felicia was going to get the boot as just the odd man out. Who would have ever thought that Izzy and Cirie wouldn't go further? I didn't think they were going to make it to the very end because they just look so tight and powerful. But I've fully expected Izzy to make it to, or Cirie, or both of them, to make it to jury. The fact that she didn't even make that, I feel for, in some ways, I think it's deserved that she didn't make it. She played very hard. She never took a breath. I mean, the minute she woke up in the morning to the minute she went to bed at night, she was living and breathing, playing that game of Big Brother, which, fair enough. She's living out her dream, her passion. But sometimes you just have to take a breath and just enjoy the experience and get to know everyone else on a non-game level. I don't know that she did enough of that. She gave me, in a lot of ways, she gave me Frenchie vibes, right? She also gave me vibes a little bit like Brittany from last season. Those are the two that I always compare her to, is Izzy is Frenchie and Brittany, just always a little frantic with everything they did. So yeah, I'm not sure she played a perfect game, and it drove me crazy that I felt like she was willing to throw herself on the sword for Cirie if it came down to it. I kind of wish she'd said something about the relationship between Cirie and Jared, but it is what it is. But having said all of that, she was a super fan. She absolutely lived her dream, her passion. Every single thing that she did in that house, she's going to remember for the rest of her life. I know what that's like. I almost went home week number 4 if it wasn't for the battle back. So I know what it would have felt like to leave about the time she did. And you would have felt like you missed so much, but you still think, God, I got to live in the Big Brother house. So yeah, I'm really excited that she got to live out such a big deal, such a big bucket item list for her. All right, Julia Shepard saying, was blown away that Izzy said final 3 plan was for her to lose HOH and let Izzy and Jared face off. That seems crazy and disappointing. Thoughts? Yeah. I expect Jared and Sari to potentially not necessarily play to win. I mean, I could see Sari throwing some stuff to Jared if they got to the end. Maybe not. Maybe she's got to fight to the end and win it all. But when you have the pre-existing relationships, I think it's a little unfair to everyone else. God, I hated it during my season with Christy and Tommy and Kat and Holly. I thought it was very unfair to us, but what are you going to do? You work with the cards that you're dealt. But for Izzy to come in and be such a super fan of Sari and Jared that she recognizes them, fair enough. That gives you all kinds of ammunition, which should help you in the game. And I think it did. I think it helped bond her to the two of them that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise. So I do think it helped her. But for her to be so willing once you got to the final 3 just to kind of throw your hands up, and did she think one or the other was not going to take mother and son, that they were going to take Izzy instead? I don't think so, right? And here's the thing. She said that once she got down the final 3 or 4, if she'd made it that far, would she truly have done that? Or would she at that point of time said, I'm playing for $750,000. I think maybe my starstruck eyes are going to have to look another direction. I don't know. But it was very strange that just the hero worship that she had for Sari. They'll be tight friends when they get out. I would hope. What if they get out and Sari's like, yeah, in the house is one thing, but they were just playing a game. I hope that's not the case. During my season, I told everyone, I said, look, we're going to have a bonding experience, a shared thing that we all go through. For that reason alone, I hope we can all be friends when we get out of this house. And I meant it with each and every one of the other 15 people in the house. I intended fully to be friends with them forevermore, going to weddings, births, whatever. There's a couple of people who've kind of distanced themselves from Big Brother, so I don't talk to them as much. Everyone else, every time I see a wedding or birth announcement, I'm excited and congrats, go out to them and all of that. I hope Izzy and Sari and everyone else in that house does the same thing. I hope they do that with Cameron as well. I hope he feels very alone right now, which he is. But I hope once this is all over that they pull back together and bygones be bygones and everything else. Because I want everyone to appreciate that they got the chance to live the Big Brother experience. All right, let's see. Warnings about bad language. Tammy Slagill saying, was there ever a warning about bad language? Seems worse every season. No, they never told us anything about bad language. Those of you who watch Cliff Notes, first of all, I worked in the oil fields. If you want to hear bad language, I guarantee you, I've heard things that you just make your ears melt, right? I've heard things, but I don't personally use that kind of language. But I certainly heard enough of it while I was inside the Big Brother house. And yes, I hear a lot of it now when I watch the live feeds. What can you say? Maybe it's a different generation, has different attitudes about language. I've always been of the opinion, the occasional curse word to extenuate your frustration. Yeah, okay. When it's every other word, that suggests to me that maybe you need to be practicing your language skills a little bit. But no, there was never any kind of discussion on that. Our big thing was no singing, no humming, no quoting of movie lines. We had a lot of that we got in trouble for. Those kind of things that had to do with copyright, trademark issues. So just curse words. No, the only time that happened, I remember when we did Poised and Ivy, which was my HOH, after my HOH, so I didn't get to compete in it. The first competition I didn't compete in fact, because I was outgoing HOH. We were on live TV on that one, and Julie said, how is everyone doing? And of all the people that were talking, Nicole Anthony is the one that said, well, doing pretty bleepy, Julie. And Julie Chin had to say, well, Nicole, remember, this is a live show. And she was super embarrassed that she had actually used a curse word on live TV and all of that. And we gave her a hard time saying, Nicole, you're the person that cursed on live TV first. Who would have thunk it? So, yeah, we were told not to use that kind of language during the live episodes. But beyond that, yeah, they just let us say whatever we want to say. I wasn't bothered by the curse words during my season as much as some of the conversations that took place. I don't know why people in that house feel like they need to talk about everything having to do with their bathroom habits and every other biological function that you could possibly imagine takes place in the human body. The other 15 in that house felt like it was worthy of conversation. Not so much myself. So that was my toughest part. All right. Maddie Denchi saying, Bowie Jane, Bowie Jane. Love it. Bowie Jane should not have hopped off the wall. Imagine a Bowie Jane HOH. Wouldn't that be interesting? And then Karen Hummer saying, wonder if Bowie Jane fell off purposefully. I've been seeing so much on this, and I really was hoping that the TV episode last night was going to go into a little bit more detail. Surely in the diary room, they asked Bowie Jane, did you throw that or did you just fall off? What happened that you fell off so quick after Blue fell off? I really wanted to find out because I have watched over and over and I still don't know. There's people who've said the fact that she was watching Blue so quickly, or watching Blue and Jared, and as soon as Blue fell, she fell off. The fact that she was watching suggests that she was waiting for it. Maybe, but why? If you're going to throw it, why would you wait until Blue fell off so you could throw it to Jared, as opposed to falling off even just a little bit before that, and then let Blue and Jared battle it out or do whatever they want to do to decide? I don't know why she would wait unless she just wanted to come in second, but not first. But why do that? Why look like you're a threat in any competition by coming in second if you don't get to grab the prize at the end of the HOH? I'm not completely buying it, but it is funny that she felt like she did. Here's my thinking, having been on the wall and knowing how tough it is when that wall starts to incline. I wonder, because it looked like all three of them were hurting. I wonder if the wall maybe tilted a little bit more than it had previously, or the liquid that they had squirted was just making it tough for all of them to get a grip. It could strictly be just a situation that when the wall was inclined enough that it caught Blue and caused her to fall, the same gravity was kicking in on Bowie Jane, and she may have fallen as well. Because there's two things that you have to deal with when you're on that wall. One is just the pure muscles of holding yourself up on the wall. I had a lot of pounds I was trying to hold up against that wall. So you've got to deal with the muscles trying to hold you on. But the other problem is once you start getting sprayed with all that goop, I always thought that goop would be like slime that I played with as a kid, just kind of sticky kind of stuff. No, it's more like dishwashing soap that's colored. It's very, very slippery. And if you move your hand off those grips to wipe your face or do anything, it's hard to ever get a grip back again. And it could just be that she didn't fall. It's just the weight. She didn't have enough of a grip and she fell off. But I don't know. If Bowie Jane doesn't make it to the final two, I would love during some exit interview if people ask her. I'll ask her at some point on down the road because I'm really curious about that. But I'm not 100% sold that she threw it. I think it's possible, but I also think it's possible she just lost her grip at the same time Blue did, and that was it. I was really cheering for her, though. Nothing against Jared and Blue, but I really wanted to see what Bowie Jane would have done as an HOH. All right, Kennedy Franken. Keith, who won the wall comp your season? During our season, Jessica was the first to fall, and y'all, I'm sure, all seen that clip of her fall. Ah! It was only like 8 feet tall, and we had about 8 feet worth of cushions even with that. It was not a hard fall, but she made the most of it. She fell like she was jumping off the Grand Canyon doing skydiving or something, which is pretty funny. At the time, I had no clue. I laughed a little bit that she fell. I laughed not so much that what she yelled as she fell, but that she was so scared to go off the wall while we were doing it. She goes, I'm scared. I don't want to fall. I don't want to fall. It's like, well, you don't have a choice. Eventually, you are going to fall. But yeah, then later I found out they'd made all the memes of her and all that. She fell first. And then at 33 minutes, I fell. Just like 5 seconds later, Christy fell. Nicole, I was so banking on her winning. It seemed like a perfect competition for Nicole. When she fell, she was so disappointed. She was crying. She was cold. She was upset. We were disappointed as well. Took care of her. Eventually, it came down to Tommy and Mickey, both on the wall. Eventually, Tommy went off. Mickey won. It was after, I think, Mickey promised safety to Tommy that Tommy went and fell. Now, here's the kicker. It just seems not kind of an isolated event, right? It's at that point during that competition that I became absolutely convinced that Mickey and Tommy, maybe not a final two, but they had a tight relationship, that they were protecting each other, because I started realizing that Mickey had never put Tommy on the block. Tommy had never put Mickey on the block. They had something going on between the two of them. I became even more convinced when Mickey found my veto during the hide and go veto so that Tommy could win that veto competition. And with all of that going on and some other things that happened, them winking at each other during some competitions and giving each other high fives when they didn't think Nicole and I were watching, some little things like that made me convinced that they were working together. And that's one of the reasons at the very end, when it was Holly versus Tommy, one of the things that helped pushes that direction and send Tommy out, because of the fear that Tommy and Mickey, as much as they were yelling at each other, that when it came right down to it, they would still work with each other to make sure that Nicole and I didn't make it as a duo any further. So, yeah, and that all started on the wall when I saw the two of them making their deal with each other. So paranoia, observation, maybe a little bit of both, but it all started there at the wall. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Vicky Smith saying, love your daily updates. Well, thank you so much, Vicky. I have fun doing them. Some nights are better than others. Some nights there's so much going on. It's so exciting, and watching things evolve, conversations, strategies. One person suggests something, and then suddenly the other person goes and talks to some other people. And suddenly a couple hours later, you've got a whole plan in place that developed at 3:00 in the morning. There are other nights where they're just sitting out on a hammock talking about the most mundane stuff, or you're sitting there watching way too much makeout sessions between Corey and America and things like that. Some nights more exciting than others, but yeah, I love doing it. So thank you. I appreciate the support. All right. And Nunez 1919 saying, do you get to choose your position on the wall? No, but here's the thing. I've seen some people saying that some people in maybe this season, certainly last season, have said that they got to choose their position on the wall. We did not. So maybe it varies from season to season. When we walked out there were people saying, hey, come here, Cliff, come here, Christy. And they had positions already picked out for us. But here's another thing. If you look behind me, it's a ledge all the way across, right? Like that. It's one long ledge. In those situations, maybe they are told that, hey, just go stand wherever. In our case, we didn't have a ledge like that. We had little individual areas that we stood on. Maybe and so we had individual ladders to go up that ladder. And so maybe because of that's why we were told where to go. Whereas if it's just a ledge like this that you walk across, maybe they just say, hey, line up, go out there, find your spot. I don't know. It's different. But no, in our season, most definitely, we were told where to stand. And that's another thing. The fact that Mickey and Tommy were right next to each other. Of course, I immediately thought, well, they thought those two were going to last longer than anyone else. So they wanted to have them next to each other where they could talk and whisper and negotiate and everything else. And I was on the far end. I was on the far end. The next to me was Christy. Then next to her was Jessica, and then Nicole. So once Jessica went, it was just Christy and I alone on that half of the wall. And we weren't making any deals with each other. I guarantee you that. But yeah, we did not get to pick them during our season, at least. All right. Lisa Cleaver saying, do you think Big Brother has been guilty of over promising and under delivering the past few seasons, not ending twist and surprises? Not really just the last few seasons. I think throughout Big Brother, there have been twists that just didn't really take off the way you wanted them to take off. Do y'all remember this is a Big Brother takeover? And every episode, every week, there was someone else that was taking over. Who was it? I thought there was like an Amazing Race takeover one week, and Gronkowski took over another week, and then it just went away. And we've had it this season. the nether regions just kind of disappeared right after a little while. During my season, we had 2 weeks of have not, and then they went away. So I don't know it as far as that goes. I guess you've got producers and directors and everyone else that watch, and I'm sure they look at social media and they probably check and watch to see what stuff we like, what stuff we don't like. If no one cares about it, if people are complaining about it, maybe they're just willing to just kind of let it go and not worry about it. Expect the unexpected. I guess producers have to live by that same rule as well. Change things up if it's not quite working. From that end, I don't mind. In terms of this idea of over-promising, under-delivering, I don't know. They try to keep it fresh. Survivor, in some ways, I feel they film the same place every year now. The challenges I feel like here lately are very much the same. It seems like, and all of that. Survivor and Big Brother both have been around for so long that you run the risk of people getting too comfortable and thinking they know everything that's going to happen. We've got house guests in that house right now that think the double eviction is coming up on Thursday for no reason other than just it seems like maybe it'd be the right time for it. Now, I know we were saying it's going to be the double for 4 or 5 weeks straight, and we were wrong every time. And the one time it was a double, we were all like, see, we knew when it was going to happen. You get a little bit of that as well. But people were expecting the wall comp this past Thursday. It was a wall comp. So when you have some of these iconic competitions that you're going to do every year, of course, house guests are going to try to predict it and all that. But with all that being said, I think they've done a pretty good job this season of having some new competitions that maybe we haven't seen in years past. And even the ones that we've seen for the past couple of years, that little mini veto, I wish they'd had that during my season. I think I would have done pretty well with it. But that one, the one rolling through the snot and laying the eggs and all that, I think they've had some fun comps so far this season and the past couple of seasons. So I am okay with the types of competitions they've been having. Here's what I like. This season, I don't think they've had as many competitions that are just straight up pure endurance like we had during my season. Now, that probably works to the disadvantage of someone like Matt, who is such a competitive athlete. But I do like the idea that you got a little bit more skills and challenge comps and things like that. It seems like this season that gives everyone a little bit more of a chance to win these things. Having said that, we've had 4 HOHs in a row that have been won by either Jared or Cameron. A whole lot of people in that house who have not won anything at all. A whole lot of people in that house who do not want to win anything at all. I was listening last night. There are so many people who are talking about maybe not really fighting hard for this upcoming HOH. Blue and Matt and Jag. I don't think Nicole wants it. I'm sure there's a few others here and there that probably don't want it as well. It blows me away that people aren't absolutely fighting tooth and nail at this point in time to make sure that they're safe. But there's people, and then there's a few people who truly think, like Matt and Jag and Blue, if they don't get HOH, that the bigger players on each side are going to go after each other. And they're probably right. But you still, I fought for every single HOH while I was in the house. And there's 1 or 2 that I knew if I didn't win, I would be safe. And so I wasn't really upset when I didn't win them. But I don't think there's a single comp that I just said, yeah, I'm throwing this. I'm not going to try to win it. That goes against my mentality. I fight hard for everything I do. Strategically, maybe sometimes it makes sense, but I couldn't do that. But it seems like a lot of people this season can. So, and more power to them if it gets them to the end, I suppose. There's nothing wrong. If it gets you to the end, go for it. If that means throwing every single HOH comp, as viewers, we're going to hate it. But if that's what it takes to get you to the end, yeah, go for it. Do whatever you have to do to get to the end within reason, right? All right. Connie Garbarino saying, why would Jared not consider to team up with Cameron if he's on an island as well? Yeah, I thought about that. And I had someone ask me on my recap this morning the same thing. Similar, saying if you were actually, I guess a little different, saying if you're Corey, would you potentially team up with Cameron? Yeah, I guess not the same question. But I think, especially with regards to Jared said a couple of days ago, he was upset after that whole argument that took place right before the HOH or the eviction and then the HOH competition on Thursday. He said that after that, everything was personal from that point on. Beforehand, game, and maybe personal interferes a little bit here or there, but he's trying to play the game. He said after that, everything is personal. I almost feel like he's playing the game very emotionally charged right now. And not just him. There's a lot of people in the house. I feel like if you aren't working with them, then they assume that you must be working against them. And therefore, you are their mortal enemy and you have to go. Look at Cameron and Izzy, just like this with each other. Jared and Corey, now they tried to smooth it out a little bit yesterday. And Jared at one point said, I kind of think, Corey, yeah, we argued, but it's because we're passionate. But you wouldn't put me up if you won HOH, would you? At this point, I feel like you wouldn't. And Corey's like, yeah, no, of course I wouldn't put you up, Jared. Liar, 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 pants on fire. Yeah, he's going to put him up if he gets a chance. Here's the thing. Yes, it's maybe does make sense that Jared protects Cameron and the two of them can work together going forward. I just don't know if you don't have the level of trust, no matter how much you think it's going to benefit your game. If you think that other person's going to cut your throat the second they get the chance, it's tough to work with them. It truly is. So I think that's one reason that Jared didn't consider that. The other thing as well, everyone likes to be liked in that house, right? You would think so. If he saved Cameron, if he did not put Cameron on the block this week, I feel like Jared becomes even more enemy number one for everyone in that house who was expecting Cameron to go. If Jared hadn't done that and we had yet another week where Cameron survived and lived to fight another day to win another HOH and all that, I just think everyone would start pointing that finger at Jared and really hold a grudge against him that he may not ever recover from. So in a lot of ways, it's easier to just do what the house wants, even if maybe you're losing someone that could be a support. But if he doesn't trust him anyway, what's a loss, right? I was a little bit like that during my season where I could have made a little bit bolder move while I was HOH and flipped on my promises and gotten someone from the Grateful Eight out the door, not sent Bella out the door. And maybe she would have worked with me and all. And maybe that was a different direction to go. But it's the same situation. At the end of the day, I didn't trust Bella and Nick to some degree, but especially Bella. I didn't trust that she actually would work with me, even if I saved her. And I was like, it doesn't really hurt my feelings that she's gone because she kind of did me dirty anyway. So it's tough. All right. Doctor Who Heather saying the whole mood of the house took a nosedive once Izzy left. It'll change. It's been 6 days, 5 days, 4 days, whatever. It'll change. Yeah, Izzy was a character in the house, and we're gonna hate to lose her in a lot of ways in terms of just good TV. But it'll work out. I absolutely do believe that. And again, maybe once Cameron's gone, and you have people that are a little more fluid and working and targeting and all of that, we'll see how it all works out. But yeah, it was tough. I tell you, it was hard watching Izzy in her interview with Julie Chen because you could see she wanted to cry. Izzy tried while she was in that house to not appear too vulnerable, right? I mean, a few times we saw her stressed out and really feeling bad, but I feel like she tried to put up a strong front and give it everything she had. Sometimes it just overwhelms you. And I felt like that was the case as she came out the door and was sitting there talking to Julie and all that. I felt for her. I truly did. Yeah, it took a little. Now, here's the thing. Did it take a nosedive because Izzy got voted out of the house? Or did it take a nosedive because then Jared won HOH and the other side got worried and all that? Yeah, I don't know. And because of the argument that took place earlier in the day and people suddenly feeling like they're very much on edge and against a lot of other people in the house. So that argument Thursday was incredible. I saw some of it live, some of it, unfortunately, I was at work, but I was getting all kinds of texts saying, oh, you're not going to believe what's happening. And so I started watching it. I'm glad it all came out because it forced a lot of stuff to the surface and created a little bit more chaos. And everyone pointing fingers at everyone else, accusing each other of lying and deflecting and everything. I loved it. But as a result of that one thing, no one trusts anyone in that house. Not really. Jared and Blue are showmance, and I don't feel like Blue trusts Jared that much. Corey and America are showmance. They're a little tighter with each other, but I still feel like either one of them would let the other one go if they had to, without crying a whole lot of tears. So it's just there's a lot of people in there, even though they aren't necessarily making the big moves. Even though I feel like they're coasting a little more than they should, I still think there's people in there that are ready to play super hard when they need to. So we'll see. We're not even halfway through the season. We got a lot of time left. All right, and no saying eyes are going a little wonkers here. Betting the other, let me see if I agree. Oh, letting the other person call this, make the silence is a good technique for getting info. Yeah, I could get my glasses. I've been staring at these computer screens for way too long. Yeah, someone, I think it was Jared, that thought that Cameron was a police officer because he said something about state lines or whatever. He's not, as far as I know, but I think he would be a great detective, because I've always heard that and I do sales. I'm in business and all that, and that's a negotiating technique of don't make the first offer, don't volunteer stuff. There's nothing wrong with making a point and then just staying quiet and forcing the other people to say something or to take the first step towards you. And I feel like Cameron does that a lot. Just gives them that 100-mile stare and waits, and eventually they're like, he's not going to say anything. This is really weird. What can I say? What can I do? What can I do? Next thing you know, they're just regurgitating everything they've been told for the last 24 hours, and it works. He has had more people tell him information. America, talking to Cameron, she told him all kinds of stuff. Now, he was HOH at the time, but she told him all kinds of stuff. And was it last night? She told Matt and Jag, said, look, if I stay on the block against Cameron, I'm a little bit worried, because I told him a lot of stuff, and some of it maybe he would use against me as a way to maybe try to keep the votes and stay in the House. So I'm a little bit worried about that. And she says that she told him things like that he was actually the target all the time. It was never Jag. It was always Cameron. And Cameron didn't know that. So she told him all that kind of stuff. And Matt looked at her and said, why did you tell her all this? Why did you tell him all this stuff? You didn't have to tell him. Why did you tell him all this, America? And she's like, I don't know. Well, it's because Cameron just gave her that awkward silence and she felt obligated to say something. So yeah, it makes him a little, creepy's not the right word. It makes it a little uncomfortable to have conversations with him sometimes. But in terms of getting information, spot on. You know who else is doing a good job of getting information? I think, as I say that, I question my own thinking. Nicole. I feel like Nicole has just kind of been sitting back, listening to everyone talk, pulling in information as well. I think she's doing a good job, except then I hear her talk to Felicia or America, a few other people, where she talks, or Jag, she did that last night, talking about how completely in the dark she feels like she is, that the game is taking place around her and she's not participating. She's not aware of what's happening. I do think there's a certain amount of that going on. But Nicole's one of those, she won't volunteer information just for this. Just everyone else is running around frantic. She just kind of sits back and says, I don't need to participate in that. I'll tell you what I need to tell you, and then I'm moving on. Kind of admire that. She seems very cool under pressure, and we'll see. I think she's got to develop some tighter relationships if she's going to go as far as she needs to in this game to win. Because right now, she's too expendable for everyone. And you don't ever want to be the most expendable person in the house. Sometimes they go after someone because they're a big threat. Sometimes they go after someone just because I can get rid of that person. No one's really going to care too much. Sis in my season, when Mickey sent her out the door, she said, "What? I never did anything to you, Jackson. Why are you sending me out the door?" He said, "Well, you never did anything to me because you never had power. That doesn't mean that it's not your time to go." It's not because he had such a huge fear of her or anything else. It's just she was easy to get out without offending anyone. So Cole has to be careful that she doesn't get into that situation as well. But I kind of like the game she's playing and that she doesn't panic under pressure. All right, what else do we have on here? We've got Ma saying, "Ma, I hope you're doing well." Saying, "Notice how Suri has done the worst on every comp. Isn't that something?" Is she throwing things, or is she that bad? I don't know. Cirie never won a lot of competitions on Survivor either. Cirie's strength has always been her social game. And she's pointed out she has never won Survivor, but people in her group have always won the end. She is able to develop a good group, a good alliance or whatever, and ride it to the end, but she doesn't. At the end of either Big Brother Survivor, you've got to win some competitions. That was my issue. If I'd won just one more competition there at the end, that win it, you're in it veto, or that last HOH, I think if I'd won just one more comp, I could have made it to the final three. And then I'm comfortable that I would have won, probably not the first round, but I would have won the second round. I would have won the third, and I could have made it to the final two. But that's not what happened. You've got at the end, there's a lot of social game in these reality TV shows, but in the end, when there's only 3, 4, 5, 6 people, there aren't that many targets out there. You have to win just because there may be people who don't have any other choices except to put you on the block because there's no one else left. I think that's where Cirie's going to come into some difficulties as well. But you're right. She has done horrible so far. And I mean, her and Felicia won one HOH at least. Now it's kind of a random, knock a ball down the pachinko machine or whatever. But yes, that's what's rough for Jared right now. Who does Jared have fighting for him when it comes down to this episode on Thursday, the HOH competition? He can't compete. Is Cirie going to win? Is Felicia going to win? Maybe. Of course, Felicia, she may not even save Jared at this point in time. She's kind of feeling a little bit on the outs with Cirie and Jared. So who knows? Cirie has said that she has to win this next HOH in order to protect Jared. Well, yeah, everyone wants to win the next HOH, but to actually do it is much tougher. But maybe she will. It's being a double eviction. It's going to be a quick question and answer, or roll a ball, or aim for a target and hit it. Something like that. That's a very quick and easy competition, which tends to give more of a randomness to who wins it. So maybe she'll win it, but there's no guarantees. And I think if Cirie doesn't win this thing and Jared is sitting up there, man, he sure is a big old tempting target for a whole lot of people in that house as well. You could get Cameron and Jared both getting in a limo, and not going to the jury house even, just getting a limo, heading to the airport together at the end of this thing. That'd be an interesting car ride, wouldn't it? Oh, what would they would do fine, I'm sure, as they headed out the door. All right, what else do we have? 7:49. We're doing all right. Rob Ginger saying, does the announcer live backstage? He's always there. And is there a light in the door in the downstairs bathroom? Someone else asked me that, and there's got to be a light in the downstairs bathroom. I know I didn't sit there in the dark when I was taking care of business. So yeah, there's got to be, there is a light in there. I just didn't really think about it. There's also a camera in there, right? I tried to just pretend like that wasn't the case, but you could look up, and in the ceiling there was a camera. Now, I was told that the camera would only be activated if there were 2 people in there having a conversation. Otherwise, I always picture bathroom camera button, a big red button that's got a big glass cage around it, and then you can't activate it until the head executive producer says, yeah, go ahead and go for it. Otherwise, it's off limits. That's the way I pictured it, just so I don't feel too creeped out. But yeah, there is a there is a light in the bathroom, and I can't remember what the first part of the question was. Anyway, I don't know. Ask me again if you think of it. But yeah, there's definitely a bathroom in there. All right, Tracy Muck and Fuss. Always careful with your name, Tracy. Never realized how much Big Brother. Yeah, talking about the guy who lives in the backstage. Never realized how much Big Brother talks to the house guests, and that the diary rooms are questions. There's a lot of open-ended questions in that diary room, and they're good at what they do. You get in there, and they'll do things like say, "All right, Cliff, Jared has the veto. What do you think's going to happen?" And say, "Well, I don't think I'm going to be affected. I think he's going to use it on Corey." Okay, Cliff, if he uses it on Corey, then what do you see happening? Oh, well, then I'm fine. And Corey can go home. That's fine with me. I really don't care. And then they'd come back and say, okay, Cliff, what if you're wrong? What if he doesn't put up Corey? What if he puts up you? And so then if Jared puts me up, then I'm going to be chapped. I'm going to be peeved at what he did. So they ask a lot of questions, a lot of what if scenarios so that they get your reactions to everything. And and sometimes they do it so that no matter what happens, they've got feedback immediately that they can play as part of the episode. I absolutely believe sometimes they ask some of those questions just so that you get paranoid. It's like, well, I assumed Jared was going to use it on Corey, but now that you ask me about that, is there something that I don't know? Do I need to be worried that he's not going to use it, that I'm going on the block? And Big Brother would be like, well, Cliff, we're not saying that. We're just asking questions. But then you're running out the door talking to Jared saying, hey, what's going on? Are you going to save me? What's going on here? So there's a lot of that takes place in the diary room. As far as them talking to you, there's not actually that much. There's a lot while we're in there of so-and-so, please go to the diary room downstairs, or so-and-so, please go to the diary room upstairs. Upstairs is usually safe for if you need medicine, if there's any kind of medical treatment, if there's some little message that they need to give you, like, hey, we got you a new pair of shoes because your others fell apart. I don't know. Things like that sometimes can be upstairs. Downstairs is where they've got the main camera set up and they do the full-blown sessions and all of that. But you don't hear it that much, and maybe you just get used to it after a while. As far as the earlier question about the announcer, does he live there? No, he doesn't live there. He adds on at the episode itself. As far as these announcements, please go to the diary room. Stop that. Stop singing on. It's all recorded. Someone up there, I guess, has buttons that they just push. Whatever needs to be said, they push that button and they play it. It's it's just all pre-recorded, and they can push everything, and it's like a speak and spell. Just push the right button and it'll say what you need it to say. All right. Let's see. What else do we have on here? Michelle Mills saying, what is the reason for everyone switching beds? I don't know. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of that. Now, I know Sari wanted to switch beds because Felicia ended up in bed next to her, and she said that Felicia smacks her gums. She snores. She's laughing too loud while she's laying in there in bed. Sometimes you just get tired of the scenery around you, right? That could be part of it. Now, part of it is the HOH. One person gets HOH, so they go from downstairs to upstairs. Someone else is moving from upstairs back to downstairs. And so you have like a little musical chairs take place with the beds themselves. Sometimes it's got to do with the dynamic itself. For example, Tommy during my season was in the target room with us, but he didn't really like that round bed. It wasn't very comfortable. And he discovered that if he slept outside in kind of our outer bedroom, outside the RV in our season, he could keep track of everyone that was going in and out of the different bedrooms. And so he kept track of, because he liked to keep track of everyone doing everything. So he liked to be a little spy out there in that bed. So that's why he switched. I moved from the target room at one point to the outside bedroom because it was much cooler in that outside bedroom. It got so hot back in those back bedrooms where you didn't have as much air circulation, and it drove me crazy. So I moved to the outside bedroom just because it felt a little cooler. I could sleep a little bit easier. So you get some of that as well going on. So there's all kinds of different reasons for the bed switching. But sometimes it's just, I don't want to be sleeping next to that person anymore. They irritate me too much. Surprised they didn't all move out of my room just because I snored in there. I was worried about that. All right. Roman Colombo saying, how much do you think everyone being on slop affected their performance on the wall? That's a great question. A huge question. I think it could have a huge effect. I mean, how could it not? Personally, I was never on slop because I was never a have-not. So I don't know how much it affects your body, but I've seen enough seasons. I watched Nicole then the following season just fall horribly sick from trying to eat slop. It wears you down. It just exhausts you. It tires you out. And here's the other thing. It's not just being on slop, but then the night before the HOH competitions have-nots ended, suddenly they all ate way too much food. Their body probably was having a hard problem adjusting to everything. I'll give you a little secret of when I played Big Brother. Every time on a Thursday late afternoon before the live episode started, every single time that happened, I would go into the storage room and I'd take 2 or 3 Pepto-Bismol tablets just in case it was the endurance competition, just in case my nerves got the best of me or something was taking place. I did not ever want to have to think that I was going to have to abandon, throw an HOH because my body wasn't cooperating with me. And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So I would take Pepto-Bismol proactively just to make sure that that wasn't going to be an issue. But yeah, I think slop probably affected their performance well. They did not stay up on that wall very long. All right. Brian Chin saying, anyone worried that the vote can flip to an American eviction? I think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? No. If I'm making a bet, I think Cameron heads out the door. But if I'm Cameron, I'm approaching everyone. And he's tried to do this a little bit. Cameron's approached a lot of people and said, look, I will be your hitman. I'll be your mercenary. I will fight for you. I will make sure I eliminate people on the other side. I protect you. I won't last forever, but while I'm here, I'll help you out. I get that strategy. I truly do. But if you're saying I'm so strong that I can take out the people on the other side, the people you're willing to fight for have got to, in the back of their heads, thinking, yeah, but at some time you're going to flip on us. And then I've got to deal with you being that stronger competitor as well. And I don't want that. So sometimes I think that strategy is a little rough. I think a better strategy for Cameron right now may be saying, look around. You know, I've got no one in this house. No one wants to work with me. I am a pariah in this house. Yes, you can get me out. Yes, I'm a strong competitor, but I don't have the connections. I don't have the alliances. I got nothing. Whereas America's she's working with Jag. She's working with Corey. She's working with Blue. If you leave her in the house, she's going to develop connections that are going to make sure that she doesn't need to win competitions in order to protect herself. She is a much bigger threat. Y'all can get me out whenever. America's the most dangerous. That is what I'd be doing if I was Cameron right now, and convincing people that it's kind of like Dan when he did his funeral that is so famous. That kind of, oh, woe is me, you know, I realize that my game is over, so, you know, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just done. If he took that tact, I think there would be an opportunity for some people to start thinking, you know, do we really want to get rid of him right now? Yeah, we don't like him. We'd love to see him go, but he's not as big a threat as some of the other people are. I could see that happening. Will it? I don't know. But we got a few days. We'll see. All right, 7:58. It goes so fast. Michael O saying, what kind of competition do you think for the double eviction? Typically, the HOH part is going to be some kind of skill type competition, kicking, throwing, something like that is typical. They've already done a balance beam, so probably not that, but I could see it being something that's a fairly quick competition. Doesn't involve a lot of strength. It's not an endurance competition. It's going to be, again, it could be rolling a ball and see who gets the most points, or you know, something along those lines. Then typically the veto competition is in a booth setup. During my season, it was what the bleep, and it may be a little quick for that because my double took place a lot later in the season. But I would think some kind of question and answer type session where Julie has a set of 7 questions. We know exactly how long this thing's going to last, so we don't have to worry about going over anything. 7 questions. At the end of it, we've got a winner, and then you do the final eviction and all that. I think that's what you'll see for the veto. For the HOH, yeah, I think some kind of skill type deal. It'll be a quick, you take one shot and you're done kind of deal, or very quick. It could be one of those time competitions. Put a puzzle together. Here's all the pieces. You've got a minute. Put it together. Whoever does it first wins. I could see that as well. Run back and forth a few times and fix your puzzle. And something like that, I expect. All right, what else do we have on here? 8 o'clock. All right, we'll go ahead and shut it down. I could talk for hours, guys, but we've got an hour. Thank you. Thank you for joining me yet again. I'm so looking forward to Thursday. We'll see. I think Cameron's gone. That's not the big question. It's going to be that HOH, the double eviction, who goes home and who gets power after that person goes home, because I think there's going to be some hurt feelings after that. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be fun. Guys, y'all have a great one. I'll finish it up with a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV fans, love y'all guys out here as well. Thank you so much for another evening talking Big Brother. So much fun. Thank you so much for that. Again, every morning, go out there. You certainly subscribe to my channel if you get a chance. Appreciate that. And I'll be back tomorrow morning to give you a recap of what happened overnight. Spoofer, Thank you for yet another super stamp. You are too kind. I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you, all of you guys. Thank you for the support. It means a lot to me day in and day out. But again, I'll be back tomorrow morning to do my morning recap. If you don't normally watch that, hey, check it out. I promise 20, 30 minutes is usually the most I go. It'll be fun. Guys, y'all have a great night. Until tomorrow or until next Monday. Cheers, my friends. SKD 143. Bye. I love Big Brother. Bye, guys. We'll